Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll discuss efforts to change Arizona's brand. Also tonight, meet the new dining critic at the Arizona Republic. And we'll hear how governing boards can be crucial to the success of nonprofits. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The State Department of Transportation today released a recommendation for a passenger rail route between Phoenix and Tucson. The recommended route, outlined in yellow, would run from downtown Phoenix through Tempe and Santan Valley, then south through State Route 87 to Eloy, and then southeast along I-10 to Tucson. The recommended alignment would run 120 miles and cost between $4.2 and $5.1 billion. Public hearings on the recommended route and two alternatives, including a no-build option, are scheduled for later this month. Many believe that Arizona's image has taken a beating in recent years, from SB 1070 and federal investigations into Sheriff Joe Arpaio's office to low education funding and pointing fingers, literally, at the president. Arizona's made all the wrong kind of headlines of late, but the state is launching a new effort to rebrand Arizona's image. And here with more is Sandra Watson, President and CEO of the Arizona Commerce Authority, and Mark Stapp of ASU's W.P. Carey School of Business. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening.
Before we get too deeply here, what is a brand? Is it similar to an image? What are we talking about here?
Well, from the state's perspective, we're talking about promoting the state of Arizona. So identifying a brand, a selling feature for the state of Arizona as it relates to business, tourism, as well as the entire state.
Does Arizona currently have a brand?
Well, I think there are a variety of organizations out there that have launched various branding exercises, but our opportunity here in Arizona is to really talk to Arizonans to really better understand why they love our state, what's meaningful, what's genuine about the state of Arizona, what's different about the state, and how can we utilize that and utilize those opportunities and the research and the discovery phase to really identify a single image and opportunity for the state of Arizona.
The difference between a brand and an image?
I think the state has an image, and you mentioned to it in the opening. I think if there is a brand, and a brand is what lives in the minds of people that view us. And so I think we've had our brand, and I really don't think we have a brand, it is an image, by default, because of many policy-related decisions that have affected how people view us. And you know, the ability to create or change that image, create a new image or change that image is hard to do. I mean, it's really difficult. Branding as an event has to do with not what we think, it has to do with what others think of us. And branding an entire state means the ability to begin establishing and controlling all of those elements that go with a promise that comes with that brand. And it's really tough to brand places.
With that in mind, how do we go about branding Arizona, or rebranding Arizona,
Right,
if you will?
Right. Well, I think to Mark's point, I think it is obviously a very complex challenge. And from Arizona's standpoint, it's important that we don't let others define who we really are. There's incredible assets that we have here in Arizona, incredible attributes that we want to make sure that others understand the real value proposition that Arizona offers. So when you think about the global economy and the competition that we're currently facing with not only other states but other countries, it's really important that we begin to tell Arizona's story. For a number of years, Arizona's story has been told by others, and it's important that we as community and business leaders start to take control of that potential image and create the right brand. A brand is an emotional connection, and we've got to make sure that people understand the value proposition for Arizona. And when we go around the state and talk to folks about why they love Arizona, we get such a positive reaction. So there's a true love for our state. We've got to get out there and communicate what that really is.
Yeah, I think, Sandra, one of the things that's important is to identify why we want to do this, who our target audience is. Because if the reason for doing this is for job creation, job retention, and attracting employers, This is really a competition for employees, not a competition for employers. And to do it well, I think we have to first identify who those employees are that the employers we're after want to employ. And then we have to begin to create the place that's attractive to them. Because if they can't attract the employees or keep the employees, they're not going to stay. And so it's more than identifying or articulating characteristics of the state that we love. It's from a business standpoint, are we creating the kind of place that the kind of employees we want to be at?
Well, and please.
Yes, and I think that's a very good point. And if we step back a moment and think about Arizona, there are several things that we'd like to accomplish with this project. One is obviously trying to create the value proposition that is important for businesses. Also to attract the talent. So as you talked about employees, it's incredibly important as we move forward, but also to create civic pride. It's very important that we here in Arizona understand what the assets are. And what has happened over the years is that the true value proposition of Arizona is unknown, not only outside of the state, but within the state of Arizona. And I'll give you a few examples. We have, and you represent ASU, and we have the largest single campus university in the entire country. We also have the largest single community college system in the country. We are the 4th highest concentration of aerospace and defense as it relates to employment. Also, as it relates to semiconductor and electronics, we are ranked 7th as it relates to technology. These are incredible assets, and yet many of the folks here in Arizona just aren't aware of them.
To Sandra's point, though, to a degree, can you affix a brand? Can you say, we're number 7 in technology, we're number 2 in insurance, we're number 1 in university? Can you go that far? How many times can I say I'm great before you believe I'm great?
Well, so we've had this problem, okay, and we've had trouble attracting the kinds of employers that we all have this image we should be able to attract. You know, one of the things that I think we've done for too long is chase the low-cost provider position by saying we have cheap land, we have cheap labor, we have cheap operating expenses, we can give you tax deals. That's not going to get it done. As we mature, we've got to be able to deliver on a social, cultural level. And the problem with branding, for instance, a state or a place, is you have to be able to control all of the policy elements that back up that promise.
And we've only got about 30 seconds
Okay.
left, and I want to ask you, how do you ensure that the promise of the brand can be delivered?
Absolutely, and I think to Mark's point, when you talk about the employers we've been attracting, you know, Apple is a great example, GM is another, Uber, these are all great companies. We've got a list of other technology-related companies that are doing incredible things and are globally recognized. So Arizona is obviously developing a value proposition that is conducive to the success of those companies.
All right, we have to stop it right there. Good discussion. Good to have you here.
Excellent.
Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thanks for having me.
Longtime Arizona Republic restaurant critic Howard Seftel recently vacated his post after 23 years on the job. The Republic now has a new dining critic. He is Dominic Armato, who joins us now to talk about his plans to keep foodies and casual diners up to date. Welcome to Arizona Horizon.
Thank you very much.
Good to see. Who are you, by the way?
Who am I?
Yes.
I mean, in what sense?
In
Who
what-
am
in
I?
the
I'm a
food-
big,
in-
I'm a big old food nerd, is what I am.
Well,
I have
people
been.
want to know about you.
Well, this is my thing. I mean, you know, I'm a big old food geek who somehow managed to worm my way to the top here. So it's as much of a shock to me as it is to anybody else, I guess. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, as far as a dining critic, what do you see your job as being?
You know, it's funny because we're trying to take a slightly different angle on this now. You know, I mean, there is a very traditional dining critic where it's, you know, you go and you review, you're anonymous, and it's about value and trying to represent to the diners, you know, what a particular restaurant is all about and what they can expect when they go. But you know, I've come at it from a different angle. You know, I spent years and years working on community food boards, you know, and organizing community groups and trying to get people excited about what restaurants we have. So I'm trying to bring some of that to this role too, where it's not just about, hey, here's what this particular restaurant is like, although I do that, but it's also about, you know, trying to bring diners together and trying to get people together and get people excited about it, and let's share this information and get it out there.
Compare a dining critic to a restaurant reviewer.
A dining critic to a restaurant reviewer.
I mean, do you put criticism in there? Do you go beyond just whether the towels are clean and the food is good? I mean,
Well, certainly you have to. I mean, the thing is, you know, there are still reviews, you know, and it is part of my responsibility to do that. You know, that's sort of very traditional, you know, presenting it for the, you know, presenting the food and the room and the service. And these are all important things. But, you know, what I want to try to bring to the role is to try to expand on that and turn it into more of a sense of community as well. You know, where does this restaurant fit within the community? What is it about it that can get people excited? What is it about it, this place that is unique? Not just whether or not it's good, but how does it fit into the context of our restaurant scene here? And how can we use what this restaurant has to try to show people, help them learn a little something, a little about the history and about some grower who's making this great ingredient, and about, you know, the techniques that this chef employs, and trying to expand it and build on that.
now you're purposely not anonymous. I figured that out when you agreed to do the show.
Yeah.
Why are you taking this route? Because the mystery diner, the secret shopper, that's a very strong tradition, and
It is.
some say you get an honest review out of that.
And it is, I mean, it is, I respect and I love total critical anonymity as an Olympian ideal, but this is, we're trying to do something a little different. I think, you know, in this age, it's getting a lot harder for critics to remain, I think it was hard 10 years ago for critics to remain anonymous, much less, you know, in the smartphone era now where, you know, messages get sent around so quickly, snap a smartphone picture. You know, I think in general it's getting more and more difficult for critics to remain anonymous. And so when you have, I think now that the ability for them to remain anonymous, the likelihood that they can has been diminished, I think you get into the position where there's a trade-off that is valuable and that has value, where, you know, maybe you give up a little something with that anonymity, but in return you get something back too, and you can do some other things with the role that are, you know, not traditional, that can be exciting and new and different. So that's what we're trying to do. I don't want to say it's better or worse. It's just a different way of approaching it.
Not being anonymous and your emphasis on community and the good feeling and that sort of a thing. Is
Yeah.
there a concern you get a little too close, a little too buddy-buddy with the chefs and the
can't.
restaurant owners?
I mean, you just can't. That's all there is to it. I mean, it has to be a professional relationship. You know, you can be friendly, but at the end of the day, you know, I can sit down with the chef and I can say, okay, tell me about this incredible dish you've made. Let's make a video of it. Let's teach people about how this is done. You know, and then when it comes time to write a review, it's like, look, I got to be honest. You know, and this is a problem, and this is a problem, and you know, I don't necessarily enjoy it, but that's how it is. I have a responsibility to readers to be as straightforward as I can be. So.
Can you have a good community-minded eatery that just serves mediocre type food? And can you have a top shelf foodie type place that just doesn't have a good esprit de corps?
Absolutely. You know, but all these things, and you know, that's the sort of thing that would figure more into when you have a place that is wonderful for the community, and it's a great story, and you know, it's a restaurateur who's really involved in doing exciting things. You know, that's something that you approach more outside of a standard review context. Whereas, you know, when it comes down to a review, you know, a weekly review, then that's got to be, you know, that's got to be very straightforward. It's got to be, look, you know, this is undercooked, and you know, the service wasn't so sharp, and you have to be honest about that. So it's a challenge. It's a line to walk, and it's a challenge, but it's one that I'm looking forward to trying to do, because not a whole lot of people have tried to go this path so far, and I want to try to find a way to make it work and to do some special things with it.
Give me a definition of a good meal and a definition of a bad meal.
A good meal. a good meal is any meal where you leave feeling better than you went in, I guess. I've joked that the only food I don't like is bad food, which I bring it all. And that's there's a good restaurant. It's not just in the food. Sometimes it's not the food, the service. They make you feel like you're at home to a certain extent. Whether that's through incredible service, whether that's through this comforting room, whether it's just through the incredible energy and love that goes into the food itself. I think the best ones make you feel like you're a part of it a little bit. And the ones that I think, I think the bad ones are the ones that don't. Even if maybe something is prepared a little more technically correct, or they check the boxes. If there isn't that connection, then maybe it's not. It can leave you feeling empty in the end.
All right, so you've taken over. You're off and running.
Yes.
You're doing the new thing now. We all know who you are. We all know where you go. We've seen you out there. If I've got people coming in from out of town, and I want to impress these people so much. And I want to say we're San Francisco and New York if you just look hard enough. Where do I go? Where do I take them?
All right, with the caveat that I think we need to get people out of the mindset of what is the best. I think this concept of top 10, the best. I think it's far more interesting to me to look at what makes all these different places unique and amazing in their own ways. But with that as a given, I'll give you one of my favorites. One of my favorites, and that is, I think F&B is a great place. F&B, in Old Town Scottsdale, not just because the food is so great, not just because they make everybody feel like a rock star who walks in the front door, but because they, again, when I talk about that context, that community context, they're so tied into the local growers and bringing out local Arizona produce and the Arizona wines, and they have their wine dinners all the time, and it's not just. Local has become such a buzzword, and it's become such a trendy thing, but there are people who talk the talk and there are people who walk the walk, and it's so exciting to be able to bring somebody in to a restaurant like that is not only fabulous, but also I think really puts forward some of the best of what Arizona has.
Well, congratulations on the gig. Good luck to you. We'll keep an eye on it.
Thank you very much. I
If
appreciate
you want to
it.
come back, you're certainly invited to give us some more recommendations.
Anytime.
Good to have you here.
Thanks.
Tonight's edition of Arizona Giving and Leading looks at governing boards in the world of nonprofits and how these boards help ensure the success of nonprofit groups. Kristen Merrifield is CEO of the Alliance of Arizona Nonprofits, and Rick McCartney is publisher of In Business Magazine and a member of several nonprofit boards. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
How do governing boards work with nonprofits?
Well, it's really a critical part of how a nonprofit not only starts but also moves through the life cycle. And really that's the sounding board, that's the leading governing body that really helps shape the organization and provide it resources and guidance throughout its whole life cycle.
How does that compare now to the governing boards in the for-profit world?
Less and less. They're very similar these days. I would say if the recession taught us anything, it's that we needed to be very effective in what it is that we do. Nonprofits, they experience quite a bit of difficulty when it comes to time and when it comes to money. And one of the best ways to ensure that you're doing that well is good structure.
What is good structure? Give me the definition of a good structured governing board.
Sure. Well, I think, it depends on what stage of life the nonprofit is in. If you have a startup nonprofit, it's all hands on deck. So you need board members that are willing to roll up their sleeves, they're willing to stuff envelopes, they're willing to dial for dollars. And as the nonprofit moves into the growth phase, it becomes more about fundraising. Now they probably have a staff, they don't need the envelope stuffers anymore. And then as you move into a mature organization, that means a different set of skill set, and it's more about introductions, it's more about governance, it's more about oversight. So, it depends on what type of organization or level that organization might be in as far as their life cycle.
People will give money to a well-oiled machine, and those
Sure.
things are so important, whether it's an operational board or a governing board. Both of those boards are very important, and at different levels, but one can be very hands-on and the other one can be some really smart thinking.
As far as diversity of opinions, diverse perspectives, how important for a nonprofit board?
The reason why you need a governance committee and the reason why you need great policy is to keep things in line, to keep that structure, bring people on the board the right way so that they're prepared for what's going to come.
How do you recruit folks for boards?
Well, I think it needs to be very thoughtful and very strategic. It's not just who you know or who likes whatever your cause is. You really need to take a hard look at, again, what life cycle are you in? What kind of skill set do you need? If you're looking for people that have access to certain types of networks, then that needs to be part of your board recruitment strategy. So thoughtful diversity is huge, not only in thought, opinion, like you said, but age, race, beliefs, the whole nine.
And being sure they understand the content of the organization.
Sure.
What is the organization about? How effective can they be in selling that organization?
Politicking, power struggles, these sorts of things. Put 3 people in a room and you're going to get that. With nonprofit governing boards, how do you handle that?
I'm in great favor of an incredible executive director who can manage that and a board that really supports that director that they bring on. At the end of the day, they manage the staff, they manage the day-to-day. They really do understand the organization. So board members need to listen to an executive director or a CEO, somebody that's been, in the game daily.
Did you agree with that?
I do, and it's great to hear that perspective from a board member
Well,
as
sure.
opposed to
Yeah.
an ED or a CEO like myself. But the other thing I would say is that, if I could say one thing to people regarding, how to deal with boards and things like that, is that the executive director, the CEO of a nonprofit organization, that they also serve on a board or have served on a board. It gives you a completely different perspective when you've sat on the other side of the table.
Well, and let's continue this. How do you ensure everyone on the board has a voice, has power? How do you do that?
I think, like Rick said, it starts with the executive director, the CEO, kind of putting out that plan of this is how the board should communicate, but then it's a great board chair, it's a great board leadership that leads by example, that helps make sure that, if they see someone's not participating or not being engaged, that they as the board chair should reach out to. We always say board to board and CEO to staff, so it kind of goes along those lines.
And I think in that structure you have committees, so you've got various other places where policy and things can be decided, and that's really important to keep everybody engaged.
What happens to the board when there's a member or two, they're not engaged, they're not effective, everyone kind of knows that they maybe lost a little steam along the way or never had all that much steam to begin
And you
with?
can bet that's going to happen, and that's why we talk about policies, and that's why a governance committee is so important, because those things are discussed and they're meant to be made accountable before an issue like that can happen if you've got a good structure.
What happens though if that issue does come up? What do you do? How do you handle it?
We approach it, and the boards I've served on is, that's okay. That, that's almost welcome to say if something's not working out for someone, or something's changed in their life, or they've got another passion, it's great to release them. We say release them with love. It's okay to go on. We're not going to, we keep that open communication very present when we're having those communications.
It's also okay to encourage their involvement. I mean, because they have a conflicting opinion doesn't mean they shouldn't be heard.
Absolutely.
Right.
You want to hear from that. It's what will make a better organization.
As far as outside influence, do nonprofit governing boards in general, do you get pushes from outside, a little pushing, a little shoving, little folks saying, I got a better idea, but I'm not necessarily part of
Well,
the
you
board?
do, because you're out raising money. So you're out focused on some of these other organizations that might know it better, they might have a better way of doing things. That's always going to be a part of it. So when you talk about policies, you talk about how you raise money, how you bring those partnerships and those people in. And you can't, as an organization, be afraid to say no to some of these great opportunities. They may not be right.
Yeah, I think that comes along with making sure that your board is crystal clear on what your mission is. Otherwise, you'll have what's referred to as mission creep. When all these things start, you should do this, you should do that. And it's like, well, no, let's be clear about what our mission is and let's really be impactful on that.
So give me a sentence, define good governance for nonprofit boards.
Oh, gosh. Transparency and open communication.
What do you think, Rick?
I would second that, but I would also say some very strong policies and a great understanding of what it means to be a board member.
All right, very
Yeah.
good. Good to have you both
Yeah,
here.
thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much for joining
Appreciate
us.
it.
Wednesday on Arizona Horizon, hear from a children's advocate about the important source of education funding and find out about a group that helps abused kids find comfort in the arts. That's at 5:30 and 10 on the next Arizona Horizon. Excuse me. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Virginia G. Piper Charitable Trust, committed to changing lives and strengthening community through investments in nonprofits and strategic initiatives. More information at pipertrust.org.